Everyone is rotating out and into gold and Bitcoin, primarily. Global neutral reserve assets governed by the laws of physics. Can't make them out of thin air. Nobody wants bonds. They're going to try and save it with stablecoins. Tremendously bullish for Bitcoin. Gold is flipping treasuries. We are officially, I don't know how else I could put it cleanly, we are officially entering a new monetary era. We are spending more than we're making. And we already are incredibly indebted. You either cut the blues by 25 to 50%. So Trump gets out and says, your Social Security, you're not getting paid. Health and Human Services, sorry, they're gone. Our defense budget, yikes, we better not get into war. Or he bullies Powell into cutting rates, despite stock market at all-time high, despite inflation starting to pick back up again. You own Bitcoin, you're going to get more housing, more vacation, more food, more education, better lifespan, better life expectancy. You own bonds, you can own whatever you want. I'm just letting you know, you're going to get less housing, less education, less food, less life expectancy, less everything that you want. They have to print the money. They have to print the money. Sorry if I sound like a broken record, but it's true. They don't have a choice, guys. I'm telling you. To me, it's so obvious. This is why I believe Bitcoin is going to go up in this monetary debasement era. They have no choice but to print the money.
In today's video, Jack Mallers exposes how the US is trying to fix its broken treasury market with stablecoins and why this move could be massively bullish for Bitcoin. He explains why nobody wants US bonds, how gold is overtaking treasuries, and why Bitcoin and stablecoins are becoming the backbone of a new digital asset economy. Jack also lays out the Fed's impossible choices, Trump's push to reindustrialize America, and what it all means for your wealth and future. And don't forget to join our Telegram group for exclusive Bitcoin insights and daily updates. Links in the description. Before we dive in, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss future updates. And drop your thoughts in the comments. It helps the channel grow and keeps the discussion going.
It's no secret at this point. It is unsustainable to finance the United States through the traditional Treasury auctions. There's not enough demand for US debt. Everyone is rotating out and into gold and Bitcoin, primarily. Global neutral reserve assets governed by the laws of physics that operate within the rules that are Mother Nature. Can't make them out of thin air. Can't just take them out of someone's pocket because you don't like what they believe in. You understand? So the US is turning to, in part, stable coins. So this is an old tweet from Besant, but I want to resurface it given the context. Recent reporting projects that stablecoins could grow to $3.7 trillion by the end of the decade. That scenario becomes more likely with passage of the Genius Act. A thriving stablecoin ecosystem will drive demand from the private sector for US treasuries. There it is, guys, which back stablecoins. This newfound demand could lower government borrowing costs and help rein in the national debt. It could also on-ramp millions of new users across the globe to the dollar-based digital asset economy. It's a win-win-win for everyone involved, the private sector, the treasury, consumers. These are the fruits of smart, pro-innovative legislation. So again, just a reminder, the US government is trying to find a balance sheet they can repress, trying to find a balance sheet that they can sell their debt to. And their answer is stablecoins. And this, in my opinion, and I know a lot of you in the comments are like, I don't understand what you're trying to say. I don't get this. How is this benefiting Bitcoin? Stablecoins and Bitcoin grow in tandem. The fastest way to grow stablecoins is to grow Bitcoin. Okay? That's the Tether and Bitcoin have a ratio of somewhere between 2.5 to 10x. The Bitcoin market cap is Bitcoin is substantially larger than stablecoins, and the fastest way to grow stablecoins is to grow Bitcoin itself. And so the US is going to try and solve this problem by growing what they call the digital asset economy, by, quite frankly, finding new treasury buyers by growing the de facto trading pair to Bitcoin. So TLDR, nobody wants bonds. They're going to try and save it with stablecoins. Tremendously bullish for Bitcoin. Gold is flipping treasuries. we are officially, I don't know how else I could put it cleanly, we are officially entering a new monetary era. And this graph here, guys, literally shows it. It is no longer hypothetical. You're no longer listening to the crazy people on Twitter. It is literal central bank reserve assets. Gold is flipping treasuries as we speak. Next, the math is broken. So Luke resurfacing this chart. I mean, you cannot get enough of this chart. These are our outlays. These are our expenses as a country. So you've got HHS, Health and Human Services. You've got Social Security. You've got our Treasury expense. So we have a lot of debt. We owe interest on that debt. So what Luke writes here is this is Trump versus the Fed in one easy chart. And he's saying Powell and Wall Street supporters are in essence trying to force cuts to Health and Human Services, Social Security, Defense, and Veterans Affairs. So here's what Luke is saying. The blue arrows, which are Health and Human Services, Social Security, our defense budget, okay, Veterans Affairs. Either we make substantial cuts to those as a country, okay, substantial, like cut them all by 25% forever today. So our military defense, gone. Health and Human Services, cut. Social Security, you're not getting paid. Or the Fed has to cut rates drastically. That's the red arrow. That's the only way to make the math work. We are on an unsustainable path. Because at the top right of Luke's graphic here, he says, U.S. true interest expense is around 100% of U.S. all-time high receipts, and it's growing faster than receipts. What that means in layman's speak, and the Jack Mallers show speak, is that we are spending more than we're making, and we already are incredibly indebted. So we're not going to be able to even kick the can down the road unless we bring our costs down. So it's your pick. You either cut the blues by 25 to 50%. So Trump gets out and says, your Social Security, you're not getting paid. Health and Human Services, sorry, they're gone. Our defense budget, yikes, we better not get into war. Or he bullies Powell into cutting rates, despite stock market at all-time high, despite inflation starting to pick back up again. Does that make sense? Do you understand now? Trump versus the Fed? Do you understand now the pressure these guys are putting on Powell? In a very simple graphic. U.S. Treasury bonds have negative returns over the past 5 years. Tack on inflation, and it's even worse. This has been an awful decade for fixed income. Again, guys, it could not be more simple. The math doesn't check out. You cannot own bonds. You have a choice. You and your loved ones and the people you care about. You own Bitcoin, you're going to get more housing, more vacation, more food, more education, better lifespan, better life expectancy. You own bonds? Sure, you can own bonds. Listen, I'm sitting out here in the mountains. It's peaceful, fresh air, good vibes, good mood. You can own whatever you want. I'm just letting you know, you're going to get less housing, less education, less food, less life expectancy, less everything that you want. Your life gets more expensive and unattainable when you own dollars, fiat, bonds, fixed income. I'm sorry. Don't shoot the messenger. Your life gets better. You live in an abundance because everything around you is more abundant than the money you're holding. Bitcoin is scarcer than everything else you consume. So everything else around you gets more affordable, gets better, gets more attainable. You're going to get more housing, more food, more education. You have more kids. You're going to live longer. It's a choice that you have to make yourself as a sovereign individual. Unfortunately, the government is not going to make it for you. In fact, they're going to do the opposite. If you have one takeaway from this show, what life do you want? You're going to have to increasingly decrease your lifestyle and make compromises if you own one thing, and you're going to have an abundance of everything you love if you own the other. So, this to me was notable. So this is from CNBC. South Korea's President Lee says U.S. investments demands would spark a financial crisis. So let's break this down. This is from the article. South Korea's economy could fall into crisis, rivaling its 1997 meltdown if the government accepts current U.S. demands installed trade talks without safeguards, President Lee Jae-myung told Reuters. Seoul and Washington verbally agreed to a trade deal in July in which the U.S. would lower President Donald Trump's tariffs on South Korea goods in exchange for $350 billion in investment from South Korea, among other measures. They have yet to put the agreement on paper because of disputes over how the investments would be handled, Lee said. Without a currency swap, if we were to withdraw $350 billion in the manner that the U.S. is demanding and to invest it all in cash in the United States, South Korea would face a situation as it had in the 1997 financial crisis, he said through a translator. In an interview in his office on Friday, Lee also spoke about a huge U.S. immigration raid that detained hundreds of Koreans, as well as Seoul's relation with rival North Korea, neighboring giant China and Russia. But trade and defense talks with the U.S., South Korea's military ally and a top economic partner, are overshadowing a trip Lee makes from Monday to New York, where he will address the United Nations General Assembly and be the first South Korean president to chair a meeting of the Secretary Council. Now, what's the bigger takeaway here? If we dumb down what he just said, I love this tweet. South Korea is suggesting that their $350 billion investment in the United States. So first of all, let's take a step back. What is Trump trying to do? Trump is trying to get investment back into the United States. Because why, guys? Because globalism, this post-1971 US dollar, it hollowed out the United States. We did not produce any of our stuff. We hollowed out our manufacturing base. Everyone else around the world, primarily China, built the stuff that I as an American consume. We export our dollars. We import real stuff. That has run its course. This era is over. It's collapsing. Finito. Goodbye. Good game. And so Trump is trying to reindustrialize the United States of America. He needs money to do that. He needs capital to do that. The question is, where's the money come from? So what he's done, he's tried to weaponize tariffs. Tariffs are a sneaky way to do it, generate revenue for the United States, and then weaponize it to get investment from other countries directly in building factories and reindustrializing this country. Now, what South Korea is saying is we need a swap line to finance this. Because if you don't give us a swap line, we're going to have a financial crisis, or I'm going to cause a financial crisis on your ass. Guys, this is U.S. liabilities, U.S. assets net. So U.S. liabilities, how much foreigners own of U.S. assets? U.S. assets, how much we own of their shit? Net, the difference. The point is, how can Korea fund America without selling America? All their assets are in the U.S. Oh, you want $350 billion? Well, I'm going to have to sell treasuries and U.S. stocks. That's what he's saying. He's saying, listen, I don't have the money because all the money's already in the U.S. If you want some of my money that's already in the U.S. to go towards building factories, sure, you go sell NVIDIA, sell Facebook, sell Google. So the S&P 500, the American savings account, is going to have poor performance. Oh, and I'm going to cause the Treasury market to malfunction because I have to dump a bunch of U.S. debt, and we already know no one's there to buy it. So, President Trump, what do you want me to do? You want to cause a financial crisis in my country? You want me to cause a financial crisis in your country? Or are you going to give me the money? Are you going to print the money? Because here's the thing. If the U.S. is financing the $350 billion investment from South Korea via a swap line, that we've printed the dollar. It's a very fancy way of we're printing the money, giving it to them, and they're giving it back to us. Here's the whole message about reindustrializing the United States. You can only do it if you're willing to print the money, if you're willing to devalue the dollar against something like gold and Bitcoin and print the money. If you want a competitive export market, here, riddle me this, guys. Why isn't the iPhone made in Manhattan? Why is it made in China? Because paying an employee to live to make an iPhone in Manhattan. Manhattan rent is like $5,000 a month. The dollar is too strong. You got weak currencies on the eastern side of the world with very cheap labor. That's why. If you want production of real stuff to come back to the US, you need a weaker dollar and you have to print the money to finance it. Oh, you want to pretend that South Korea is giving us $350 billion? But the president just said, I don't have it. The only way I can have it is if I dump your treasuries and dump your S&P 500. So either I do that or you give it to me. They have to print the money. They have to print the money. Sorry if I sound like a broken record, but it's true. They don't have a choice, guys. I'm telling you, to me, it's so obvious. This is why I believe Bitcoin is going to go up in this monetary debasement era. They have no choice but to print the money.
That's it for today's breakdown. Jack Mallers makes it clear the US can't escape this monetary reset, and Bitcoin is the one asset positioned to win. If you found this valuable, hit subscribe, drop a like, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. And don't forget, join our Telegram group for exclusive Bitcoin insights and daily market updates. Links in the description below. Until next time, stay ahead, stay informed, and stay Bitcoin.